reality where we don't know who we are, we don't recognize ourselves, we don't know who we are, we don't understand the sounds. We know how to say the languages and stuff, but we don't understand the sounds we're making. We don't know our purpose. It's almost like we are literally lost in space. And I think that's got a lot to do with all of the problems that we are confronted with. We don't know who we are. We don't recognize ourselves. And if we can't recognize ourselves, then we don't really understand power or our relationship to it, because we can't see who we are. And so it's like we're human beings. And I know that every one of us, if we were filling out a paper and they said, are you a human being or a humanoid, we could say human being, but do we understand what we're saying? Do we know what it means to be a human being? Because I think a part of the whole process of those who would colonize our minds and turn our being into a form of energy to run their colonizing systems in this materially excessive, aggressive reality that we're in, it's all run by the essence of who we are. So a part of the whole thing to happen is to strip our ability to recognize ourselves. I think this is a part of the civilizing process. Now, as human beings, who we are, human, visible, being, the invisible, visible. Our bone, flesh, and blood, literally, we are made up of the metals and minerals, liquids, and shapes, minerals of the earth. We're shapes of the earth, literally. All the things of the earth are made up of the same DNA, the same metals, minerals, liquids. All things of the earth. So we all have the same DNA. We're all made up of the same stuff. We just have different shape, form, and purpose. But we all have, and everything has being. Everything has being. We as humans, we have being, but so does that stone and that tree has being. It's very important because it's a vibratory reality that we're in. Right? And so, like when we make a sound, we're putting it into that vibratory reality, and there is an effect. But, right? And so you know, like, this word can't mean this word, because they make two separate, different sounds when you say them. So anyway, so we've been programmed to speak and make sounds that we truly don't understand. The sounds that we're making. And as an example, the sounds like power. We've been programmed that the more money we make, the more powerful we become. But in reality, in a spiritual reality, the reality of being, all right, the more money we make, that gives us access to authority. That's not power. That's authority. See, power operates from an entirely different reality. You know, but authority is like, see, authority is a mutation. It's a mutated form of power, like taking dinosaurs and creating nuclear or gasoline or taking uranium. See, and they tell us that's power, but it's a mutation of power. They've taken that being and converted it into a form of energy that they control. So it's a mutation of power. But it's not power in its own. But we go around in our lives, you know, believing that power is in money or vote or religious systems. If we go around believing that that's where power is, but we're also simultaneously full of fears and doubts and insecurities, which means we're negating our own worth perceptionally, then how do we access power? You know, there's a lot of mind confusion has been put into our consciousness. Sometimes wandering around in this little reality, it's like I look at the situation we're in, and I think, I know we're good people. I mean, we may disagree. We have our things. Well, I just know all that stuff there, but I know at our essence, you know, the Creator made good human beings. That you can leave your children something that is going to protect them. And the government won't take it away, or recession won't take it away, or whatever it is. How many of you know you can leave, that you're leaving something better behind for the next generation? When you cut right down to reality. So we have a responsibility to examine reality. We have a responsibility to use our intelligence as clearly and coherently as we can. We have the ability, we were given the gifts, because I think the gift of life is its own gift, but the gift of life that we were given in this form, then the gift we were given with that was our intelligence. And Creator gave us the intelligence. And see, because everything's about energy, everything. Every little brain that's going on right now is projecting electromagnetic energy in a larger energy field, so to speak. So everything is about energy. Right? And so we individually, collectively represent, as human beings, represent this huge mass of living energy, living consciousness, energy on this planet. And how we use the power of that energy. But it's manifested through the coherent use of our intelligence. But however we use the power of that energy says how long we get to remain in the evolutionary reality. If we use the power of that energy, our intelligence, clearly and coherently, we stay in the evolutionary reality indefinitely. But if there ever reaches a critical mass point, when the vast majority of the human beings, the power of their intelligence is used, it's almost like a cancerous, diseased perception of reality, all right, well then we hasten our demise. This is something in the ancestral knowledge that the ancestors knew. It's about, because in a way it's all about, Christians call it, or whoever, somebody calls it Armageddon, and somebody calls it this and that. But see, there's a way to live. And we, because one of the drawbacks on this, I notice as a native person, but I notice it also as a society at large. See, we got somebody to blame. So we all got somebody to blame. The Indians got the white guys to blame, and the government to blame, and all right, and the white guys they got somebody to blame, and the government's got somebody to blame. Everybody's got somebody to blame, and that whole massive passing out of, handing out, and spreading of the blame, nobody's taking any responsibility. And proceed from there. The power of our intelligence, the solutions that with the problems we're confronted with right now, those solutions do not exist. And there's no political, economic entity going to come around right now and tell you the truth, all right, and bring you something that will be those solutions. They're only going to perpetuate the problem. But they're going to have us desperate emotionally just to believe the next thing that they tell us, the next lie. But I'm telling you right here and now, as a crazy man, those solutions don't exist. But we have the ability to create the solutions if we will take the responsibility to use our abilities. Like I said, the bad guys do what the bad guys do. And I'm worrying, I get concerned that we're erasing ourselves by just blaming them for our own lack of taking responsibility for the coherency and the clarity of it. Because whatever's going on politically, economically, if somebody doesn't bring something that makes sense to the table, all right, and obviously those who would manipulate us aren't going to bring anything that makes sense to the table, so we need to bring it. Or we aid in the bet. Or we are aiding and abetting the destruction of our descendants. I mean, it's just the way it plays out, you know. It's nothing anybody doing on purpose. It's just the way it plays out. But we have the ability to change it. It's not too late. All right, I want to finish with this poem, and I think there's supposed to be some questions, right? I'm not guaranteeing any answers. Happiness is how we feel about ourselves. The good we think, the good we feel, the good we do. We are part of the dream time. Happiness is one of the colors. There are shadow casters who trick us about happiness. We are taught to wish for things to make us happy. We are not taught to dream for happiness itself. We can't buy happiness, we can't sell it, we can't steal it, we can't borrow it, and we can't capture it. But we can create it. Love can't bring us happiness, but happiness can bring us to love. Power can't bring us happiness, but happiness can show us power. On the line of what is real and what really isn't. Dream for happiness. Somewhere between heart and mind, the spirit of life can be seen. Happiness comes in a way to dream. Okay, that's that part of it.